and welcome to MashTalk, the show where we catch up with the most interesting people in tech. I am your host, Mashable tech editor Pete Paschal. I am super excited to get to our guest. He's got a lot to say about cameras and action. It is GoPro founder and CEO Nick Woodman. Hello, Nick. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Pete? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. This is I've been looking forward to this because you, sir, are a founder CEO. And I don't think we've had a founder CEO on this. Oh, no, we did. We might have had one more, but it's a rare thing to have the founder CEO on one of these.
Oh, well, I'm happy to be the guy for you.
I feel like founder CEOs lately have getting kind of a bad rap.
This sounds like a setup.
There's been some issues around, Mark Zuckerberg broke democracy, I heard, and, Travis Kalanick at Uber. There was some issues there. I heard about those as well. But you seem to have you weathered that storm. Are we through the trials and tribulations of the founder CEOs? Have you felt similar pressures and have you weathered them?
I'd like to think that I'm through the storm. GoPro is now 16 years old. I started it in 2002. Took the company public in 2014. And we've had a challenging past couple of years.
Bit of a roller coaster.
It's been a roller coaster, but now that we're more focused, we're growing the business again. We can talk about that, and we're looking forward to profitability for the second half of the year and for the fourth quarter. That's our goal. And as we last shared on our last earnings call, we're still tracking towards that goal. And we just launched the best-selling new GoPro ever, Hero 7 Black.
Nice, yeah. I tried it myself.
Yeah. What do you think?
We like it a lot, actually. I remember we had the unit. I'm not sure actually if it was in stores yet, but we had the unit that we were testing for the Apple event, the iPhone event. So this was early September. And ordinarily we would have brought something sort of bigger or like a gimbal for an iPhone for sort of, quick stuff. But the video was so smooth, like the stabilization we were so impressed by, we'll just use the GoPro. Yeah. So
well, you just did my sales pitch for me. Thanks for that.
I mean, and it was such a nice compact form factor. So I can definitely see how that has been a success for you, because it was from our reckoning a very good product. But let's rewind a bit. You did bring up sort of the challenging years that you've had in the last little while. Can you tell me a bit, like, when did things sort of, like, things, because you guys were flying high, let's be real. I mean, you guys had the high stock price, successful IPO, GoPro, I mean, still is kind of synonymous with that action camera brand. There's a lot of other brands that sort of dove in and sort of tried to do what you do, but I mean, you guys have always been the go-to. But then sort of things started to sort of go wrong a little bit. Can you tell us what went wrong, some of the reasons why, and what's happened to sort of right the ship?
Sure.
Or what you've done to right
the ship? Well, that's the founders. That's a big part of the founder's journey, I think, is how do you go from successfully founding and scaling a business, and then navigating that growth and getting through your teenage years, as it were, which ironically have been our teenage years at GoPro, to then mature into whatever the future of your business is.
Yeah. Early 20s.
And taking the company public and with as much success as we were having and as much growth as we were having, I think we lost a little bit of sight of focus, if you will, as to what our role in the world is and was, and what our customers wanted most from us. And I think that at the time we were so successful, so popular, growing so quickly that many, ourselves included, believed that we could be successful at anything that we wanted to go do. And that's a risk for entrepreneurs. That's a risk for any business person, to think that your success in one area of business will translate into success in another area. And if you study other businesses and other big brands, you recognize that very few of them are able to translate success in one area of business into other areas of business. Just because you're a great pitcher doesn't mean you can go and be a great
Sure.
quarterback, right? You're throwing a ball, but it's an entirely different sport. And now that it's 2018, we're a much more focused company. We're not trying to be all things to everybody. We're not trying to make GoPro relevant to everybody. We're doing a much better job of identifying who our core customer is, and we're very focused on super serving that customer. And by being sort of more narrow in our focus and what we're trying to solve and who we're trying to solve for, it allows us to build a better product for that customer, do a better job of marketing that product globally in a more targeted and tailored fashion. And the result this year is that we're growing again. We're forecasting, and we've shared publicly that we expect to be sell-through of our products, number of units sold to end users to be up about 16% this year versus last year. And it's terrific to be growing again. It's terrific to have launched Hero 7 Black, the best-selling new GoPro in the company's history. It's terrific to get such strong critical acclaim for our new products, and it makes us really excited about the future. But we went through a period of trying new things and not getting a very good return on that investment. So it feels really good to see such strength in our core business now that we're focused on it again.
So among those new things was a drone that you, I think it was about 2 years ago was the release, or when was the initial release of the drone?
Let's see. That would have been 2016.
Gotcha. So
Q4.
And there were some issues with it that you seemed to address, and it seemed like there was some potential there to be had until it just looked like the main competitor in the field, which was DJI, was just suddenly like they were just so dominant and used that position to kind of like knock out almost not just you guys, but a ton of other people. Was that, I guess the question is sort of what did you learn generally, but was the failure of that more about the product and some of the issues you had, or was it just the competition was just suddenly too hard to overcome, or was it sort of a mix of both, or other factors?
Oh, there's many factors, but the primary factor for us exiting the drone business was that the cost of development relative to total demand for consumer drones, at least for us, didn't make for a good investment. And if we're going to be in a product category, we're in it to win it. And we want to bring a Formula One approach from an innovation standpoint, a pace of development standpoint. We want to run a very fast race. And in the drone category, that's very expensive to do so. Mm-hmm. And then the product margins are very thin. And so it just didn't make sense for us to continue developing new drones where there just wasn't that much money to be made. And when we researched, what customers wanted most from us, it wasn't a drone. It was actually they wanted very specific things in camera technology and capability and software, namely our app, that we recognize, man, we are selling a lot more cameras, and there's a much bigger market for GoPro in camera than there is in drone. So we made the decision to exit that business and redeploy our R&D dollars, our engineering capabilities on camera and app technology, and then also free up marketing dollars to grow awareness of GoPro internationally. GoPro is quite well known in North America, to a lesser degree in Europe, in the Middle East, and to an even lesser degree in Asia Pacific region. And we've seen a really good return on investment there. We're growing year over year in our international markets, so that was a smart decision. And with the strength of the Hero 7 line, it seems it's proving to be a smart decision to focus our R&D dollars in camera development, because we've got a phenomenal Hero 7 lineup, and customers are loving it. And we're able to do a much better job of serving our customers in our core business thanks to this focus.
Cool. So the drone was one thing. that didn't go wrong? And I promise that's not all going to be about things that went wrong.
Well,
I just wanna cover it.
lessons learned are very important.
But there was also some criticism of the product lineup over a couple of years, that there were like too many different cameras. I think there was a camera, I forget what it was. It was the Hero Session that had didn't have a screen, or was just sort of a different form factor, that wasn't that well received. I guess what was sort of going on there, I guess, during that era? Was there some experimentation because of sort of more friends from the IPO, or were you just sort of, like you say, well, let's try this or let's try that, and let's see what could be a growth business for us outside of our just straight up action camera line?
We experimented with attracting new customers, and we're with our marketing as well. We tried to broaden the relevance of GoPro, make it a little more everyday and a little more approachable. And what we found was, and what we've learned ultimately, is that not everybody needs a GoPro. We don't need to make GoPro relevant to everybody to be successful and have a growing and profitable business. We need to recognize that a GoPro is a tool for active doers in the world that are engaged in activities that create use case challenges that can't be solved conveniently with a phone or with a different type of camera. And that's what a GoPro is uniquely designed for. And there are millions of people around the world that are a significant addressable market for us, and that we should, rather than try to be broadly appealing to everybody and water down our product line and water down the brand and our marketing effectiveness, we'd be better served and get a better return on investment and better serve our customers, most importantly, if we solve for those people in the world that need us most and focus our communication efforts to reach them and make them aware of our products, and then we could grow our business. So the last couple of years we're trying new things. And then this last year, which has been our most successful year in the past 3, has been focused on super serving our core customer, building them the best GoPro possible, focusing our marketing efforts on making them aware of how great our new lineup is, and it's resulting in growth. So the strategy's working, and what our fans can expect from GoPro going forward is that we'll be aggressively advancing camera and app capabilities on their behalf, and we have a better understanding of who you all are and what you want from us. And we're building that rather than trying too many new things that doesn't allow us to do a really deep job of doing any one thing terrifically well.
I think all that makes sense. Okay, so I want to transition to sort of talking about mobile, because I feel like there's this we live in this visual culture, right? Like, and every app has like a stories thing. Every app emphasizes imagery. It's all around us, which would seem to really help you guys in that, like, oh, there's just more places to share great footage, and you can always shoot in GoPro, get it in the app. But at the same time, we're also seeing cell phone or smartphones get better and better in terms of their own built-in photography. So I feel like, do you find one of those factors is greater than the other? Because I feel like the first thing I mentioned would greatly help your business, and the other one would put some pressure on it. What are you sort of finding as social networks, places to share evolve, and at the same time cameras and smartphones evolve?
Mm-hmm. Well, that we live in an age where people are becoming more aware of their own creativity and their own interest in visual expression and sharing of their experiences, that obviously benefits GoPro. The easier it is to share, and also the easier it is to discover the cool experiences other people are having and watching their content, that helps us market the the benefit of having a GoPro. Nobody sells a product or service better than your customer. And so when people see how many successful GoPro customers there are out there and see the quality of the experiences that they're sharing captured with their GoPro, that really does more to grow our brand and business than any marketing campaign that we initiate. So that's been great. And we've seen that grow year over year over year.
Has there been any particular network or change in apps and networks that just suddenly you was like this, almost like you saw a bump that was before anything else, whether it was Snapchat or Instagram stories or Facebook?
It started with YouTube.
Okay.
And people's interest shifted from photography to video. And then it grew with Facebook, as YouTube isn't the most social of sites. But then when people were able to embed their YouTube video on Facebook, we saw a really significant lift from that. And then Instagram's taken it even further, just thanks to the efficiency of both sharing and consuming content. And Instagram has done a great job of training, teaching people that shorter is better.
Right.
If you can tell a 2-minute story in 20 seconds and it has more punch, and then somebody is going to actually want to watch what you publish next because they know it's not too big of a commitment to watch whatever content that you post. So that's been extremely helpful. So there's no doubt that the convenience and the proliferation of these sharing platforms has helped us grow our business, and it's terrific for us on the marketing side as well. I mean, we have nearly 15 million followers on Instagram. I believe that we're the number one most engaging consumer electronics brand on Instagram. I think we're
How do you measure that in terms of like how many comments or
likes, just overall engagement with our content? And I believe we're number 2 or 3 most engaging consumer product brand of any category on YouTube.
Nice.
So these platforms have been phenomenally helpful in us growing our brand globally and help us enter global markets before we even officially start to advertise or market in those regions. And then as it relates to smartphones, and yes, they continue to become more capable, but so does a GoPro. And people's use cases continue to expand as people become more active. Travel is not what it used to be 10 years ago. People are far more adventurous and active when traveling and looking for new experiences. It's less about sitting around the pool at the hotel, and it's more about getting out and being active. And participation rates in sports and are all up, and that obviously is a really rich market for us. And if you're very active and you want to capture that experience, just the form factor alone of a phone does not lend itself to self-capture very well when you're in motion. And even though phones are waterproof and to a degree durable with Gorilla Glass and so forth, people don't consider putting them in harm's way because their lives revolve around this thing, right? And if you have a problem, break your phone, that's a big inconvenience. And also people who are active, we find that they like to have solutions that are tailored to them. And a one-size-fits-all solution for somebody who's on the more active side of the spectrum, or they're more interested in capture as a hobby, as a craft, they're looking for specialized solutions. So our super customer is somebody who's interested in activity on one side and capture on the other side as a hobby. And where those two markets intersect, you've got a super customer that we're very focused on super serving.
And you find that part of the Venn diagram is getting bigger, not smaller, because of all the factors you said?
That's right. And we've got a very interesting place in the world to super serve these customers and make them feel that GoPro is designed specifically for them. It's part of why we have such a loyal following. There aren't many other companies in the world that are focusing on building these solutions for these types of customers, and understanding who your customer is in the world and really tailoring your solution for them is how you build a brand that's as strong as GoPro. We got a little too broad for a little while. Now we're back to being very focused, and we're seeing it in terms of momentum in our business.
Nice. So I wanted to ask about Snapchat specifically, because they started calling themselves a camera company a few years back. And I feel like for you guys, it's almost like that scene in Crocodile Dundee where it's like, that it's not a camera company. Like, this is a camera company.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think of how they regard themselves as a camera company? And I actually kind of wonder what you think of the things they've done, like with Spectacles, obviously, is their main hardware product that they've come out with, and the format of circular video, which was a little weird for that I guess they're still going for. How has Snapchat been for you guys? What do you think of them?
Well, I think that thinking of them coming out and defining themselves as a camera company, I think is provocative. I think that's a big part of their go-to-market strategy and their branding and their culture. And so I applaud them for being successful and being provocative. I mean, we're talking about it right now,
Yeah.
and they announced that quite some time ago. And I do think that in some degree it makes sense, because they're seeking to take further what you can do with a smartphone camera than you maybe otherwise could. And so by saying you're a camera company doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go make cameras. It could mean that you're going to exploit the camera that everybody already has. But regardless, I think the provocative nature of that statement has got people talking, and that was the point of it. And then in terms of their other products and innovations, I think any company or individual who's pushing the limits and inventing new things should also be applauded. If businesses aren't going to take risks and try new things and see what resonates with consumers, we've got a very boring future ahead of ourselves. So I love to see innovation. I love to see risk taking, and I love to see it when people are successful.
So everything you said about phones rang very true in terms of, like, you're not going to risk it. It's unwieldy in a lot of these situations that you're talking about. But the thing is, I also think with regard to especially big players like Google and Apple, there's a lot of interesting things they're doing with photography, particularly computational photography and using AI. I feel like that's a very big part of where image capture is going. Can you talk about sort of what you guys either are doing in that space, or how you sort of see yourselves competing with that sort of approach?
Sure. Well, innovation yields fascination and brings the future to life for consumers, and we find that nothing gets people more excited than a breakthrough innovation and an exciting new product. I mean, we define ourselves as consumers, interestingly. I don't know if people think about it this way, but that the fact that we as human beings define ourselves as consumers is interesting. We're always looking for something new. We need stimulation. We're unhappy if we don't have it. And so we're fascinated when something truly new comes along. And as both product developers and marketers, we at GoPro understand how incredibly important it is to wow our customers. In fact, harnessing the power of wow is one of our core values at the company. We always want to exceed expectations and really grab people's attention with something truly remarkable. And so as a result of that, we've built a very strong team of image scientists who are helping us invent the future of capture. They are how we designed our own chip, GP1, our own processor, which is in Hero 7 Black, and has certain attributes that allowed us to make the breakthrough in innovation, which is hyper-smooth video stabilization.
I knew there was a name for it.
Yes, which is gimbal-like video stabilization built into Hero 7 Black, built into the camera itself. and for most use cases, eliminates the need to use a separate 3-axis gimbal to stabilize your video. And Hypersmooth is better than a gimbal in many regards because the motion is more natural. Hypersmooth is windproof. Gimbals tend to fail at about 30 miles an hour of wind speed. That resistance from the wind overloads the motor, so you can't hold a gimbal camera outside of a car window, for example, going faster than 25, 30 miles an hour. If you're engaged in sport and going too fast, it'll fail. If there's big G loads on it, the gimbal will go into limp mode and fail. That never happens with Hypersmooth. And of course, Hypersmooth being built into a GoPro is waterproof. And to date, there are no waterproof gimbals. And we're saving our customers $200 to $300 of expense because they don't have to go buy a separate device, this gimbal to charge and keep with them and so forth. So this type of innovation is absolutely necessary for us to keep moving camera technology forward in a way that is truly beneficial to our customers.
I guess that makes sense.
I hope it makes sense.
No. I mean, honestly, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we used it. It was very, for all the reasons you said.
Well, one of the things I'm most proud of is that when we came out with Hypersmooth and said gimbal-like stabilization, and in one interview, somebody asked me, is it a gimbal killer? And I think I said yes. And then that quote got attributed to me, and the comment sphere went crazy that I had called it a gimbal killer, and how could I, and it can't really be that good. And I just want everybody to know, there's a time and a place for a gimbal, but really
you don't want to murder all gimbals.
Well, no. But also, we're having a conversation. I wasn't coming out with guns blazing saying it's a gimbal killer, but people thought that we were just hyping it up. But then once our customers started to buy and use Hero 7 Black, they said, son of a gun, this thing works as advertised. It really is that good. And it's been really satisfying to see our customers really appreciate the engineering work and innovation that we've brought in the form of Hero 7 Black with Hypersmooth. It really is the best stabilization that's ever been built into any camera, not just a GoPro. But most important to me as a founder of GoPro, it's a sign that when we come out with something, it needs to live up to the brand, and we value our customers immensely. And if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it in reality, not just from a marketing perspective.
Nice. More of a gimbal incapacitator, then we'll say. So why don't you give me your just before I know you've got to wrap it up soon, but the state of VR and AR and 360 video I feel like is quite a bit different than it was a couple years ago. I know you guys, places like Google and others were using your cameras to do sort of big rigs and with multiple cameras. You guys have a 360 camera in the market now, is that correct?
Fusion.
Yeah. So can you give me just sort of a snapshot of that market, where you see it's going? I feel like personally it hasn't really lived up to where people thought it was going to go, but that maybe it still has a place. Is that your assessment? And if so, what is the place it has?
Yeah.
From a consumer and professional standpoint.
It's true that consumers don't seem to be that interested in video for VR, 360 video. It's a bit of a novelty. Some content is interesting, some content's not. It's a bit of work to view 360 video. It's a little bit at odds with what somebody wants from an entertainment consumption experience. In gaming, VR is terrific. It's immersive, it's interactive. It really makes you feel like you're there if it's done right, and so it's additive to the gaming experience. But when somebody's gaming, they want to engage. They want to make decisions. They want it to be interactive and spend the mental cycles, problem solving, and so forth, right? Gaming is a sport. When you're watching a video or you're watching a movie, often the motivation is very different. You're not looking to engage. You're not looking to interact and make decisions. You're looking to relax and be entertained. And I think that video VR is maybe at odds with what somebody is wanting to do when they want to sit back and watch something. They don't want to make decisions necessarily on where to look. And they don't want to spend the cycles and be worrying they're missing something. And
that's
so
the thing I would always find.
That's right.
Did I look in the right place? I'm not even sure.
It's a lot, and it's a lot of work. And so I don't know why consumers aren't as interested in watching spherical 360 content. But this is my theory, is that they want to relax, not necessarily engage and decide where to look. Fortunately, with our own camera, we had a sense for this before we launched it, because we launched Fusion last year and in the fall, and in the spring we debuted Fusion as a pilot program, because we wanted to get customer feedback as to what they thought of the camera and how they were going to want to use it. And fortunately, we did this because we learned that our would-be customers were far more interested in Fusion's ability to allow you to capture everything at once around you, but then later go back and just select the shots that you wanted and then use those to create a traditional fixed perspective video. They weren't interested in creating 360 VR content with the camera. And learning this, we emphasized development of what we call overcapture, where you recapture just the shots you want from the source 360 file, and then you export that as a fixed perspective video clip. And that's what's helped Fusion be successful. Fusion has roughly 50% of the market on a dollar share basis in North America. So it's great to see GoPro be an innovator and a leader in this, brave new space of spherical capture. But it's selling not for VR purposes. It's selling because it's really a camera that's capable of capturing new perspectives, but then leading to traditional content output.
Right. You don't, and it's for the person who just doesn't want to miss anything, not necessarily the person who wants to put out 360 video.
Right. It's the camera that you don't have to aim. The stabilization is unbreakable. That your picture is floating in a sea of pixels, and so as you move the camera around, you can have infinite stability in your image. So there's a number of breakthroughs in the technology, and that we're learning with Fusion that we'll be able to apply to new cameras down the road, and be it spherical or otherwise. So it's a really exciting place to be, and it's going to lead to more innovations in the future.
Nice. Just one more question. I heard your salary is $1 a year.
That is true.
You think you're going to ask your boss for a raise next year?
I've got to earn it.
Okay. Do you think you have?
We'll see. So far, so good. It's been a good year so far.
Okay.
Still a lot of work to do, though.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by the show. It's been great talking to you about the state of GoPro, VR, sharing visual stuff, all that stuff, and hope to have you back sometime in the future.
I'd love to come back. Thank you very much.